Welcome back into DLF. Today we are getting back to our start or sit series, this time for week 9 at the running back position. We got 4 guys here, so before we get into that, if you like what we're doing here at DLF, guys, subscribe to the channel. If you have questions, you have comments, drop it down below. Let's just jump in. First one on the list, it is Jamaal Williams. Now, Jamaal Williams is interesting because right, DeAndre Swift was healthy last week, and what happened? What changed? Well, nothing, right? Jamaal Williams puts up another 2-touchdown game, his 4th one in 7 games this season. He continues to score at just an absurd pace. What does that mean? What does this mean this week against the Green Bay Packers? A revenge game, if you will? Well, it means I'm firing up Jamaal Williams. I think Jamaal Williams comes in again as an RB2. Obviously, right, Swift does cap the ceiling in terms of total touches. We know that. It's a fact. There's nothing we can do about it. But there's enough upside that I'll live with the floor. Like, I will live with a game where Jamaal Williams puts up 6 or 7 points because I know the other flip side of that coin, right, the upside, is a 2-touchdown game where he goes for 25. And that's not even talking about the matchup itself, right? The Green Bay Packers right now are top 5 in terms of rushing yards allowed per game, which means this Detroit team can stick to its identity, right? They don't want to be Jared Goff airing it out constantly. They want to run the ball. That's Dan Campbell's identity. That's what they want to stick with. And against Green Bay, an offense that hasn't been putting up a lot of points, this game is probably or could be tight and basically allow Detroit to continue to run their type of offense and not play catch up like we've seen in a lot of matchups this year. So Jamaal Williams, he's an RB2, but there is plenty of risk to go with that insane upside he's been carrying week to week right now. Next on the list, we are talking Raheem Mostert of the Miami Dolphins. Now, if you caught some of the trade news, but not all of it, right, Chase Edmonds is gone. You could have seen that bit of news. They also, later in the day, picked up Jeff Wilson, who's coming over, right, from the 49ers, who is very familiar with this offense, very familiar with the head coach. So, does this mean Raheem Mostert is done? Is he going to lose work? Is it over? Maybe. I mean, I don't think this week, and that's what we're talking about here, I think this week I'm still playing Raheem Mostert as a top 20 running back. Maybe even top 15, right? Just depends how involved Jeff Wilson is in the offense. But the matchup, Raheem Mostert going against Chicago here, that's as good as it gets. They are second, allowing the second most rushing yards per game, just behind the Houston Texans. And we just saw Tony Pollard absolutely shred them in limited work, too, right? Raheem Mostert could very much have a Tony Pollard-esque day where he gets 15 to 18 touches, but it goes for 120 yards and a touchdown. 120 and 2 touchdowns. That is in the range of outcomes for Raheem Mostert. Even coming off a down game in another good matchup, I'm going to go back to Raheem Mostert. I'm going to trust his role, the talent we've seen this year. I'm going to trust that Miami offense to put him in a position to score points. That's what you're banking on, right? It's a top 5 offense right now, or at least it seems to be. And you want the running back in that offense. It's Raheem Mostert. It's a good matchup. It's a great offense. You roll him out there. He's a top 20 guy. Moving on to the next one here. It is another trade deadline acquisition. We're talking Nyheim Hines now of the Buffalo Bills. Look, I like Hines. I think he's a good talent. I think he's a good player. I'm not playing him this week. I don't buy into the idea of plug and play type of guys, right? Even CMC, who is basically Nyheim Hines times 10, times 100, whatever it is. He wasn't a full-time player week 1 with the 49ers. I expect the same thing from Nyheim Hines. And a full-time player for Nyheim Hines could be 40% of snaps. So I think they ease him in, and I get the offense, I get the appeal, I get the matchup, right, against the Jets here. I don't care. Like, I'm adding Nyheim Hines. Let me be clear, right? In redraft, he needs to be rostered. But I'm not playing him this week. I want to see him build. I want to see him build up that role. And on the flip side of that, right, you have Devin Singletary, who now gets affected. You have James Cook, who is, irrelevant. He's banished. But Devin Singletary, this week I'm still going to play him as a back-end RB2, right? Maybe Hines steals some additional passing work that would go to Singletary instead. But this week, Singletary should be fairly safe in his role in this offense. I don't expect it to change a ton. Again, in week 9, week 10, week 11, different story for Devin Singletary. The upside is severely capped because he loses a lot of that valuable passing work. So keep that in mind. But this week, if you have Singletary, go ahead, roll him out there. But Nyheim Hines, keep him on the bench right now. And to close us out, it's not necessarily one running back. We're going to talk about an entire backfield. The Los Angeles Rams backfield. Ronnie Rivers, Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown. I don't think Kyren Williams is going to get activated this week, but if he does, throw him into the mix too. Basically, just don't play any of them. Don't do this to yourself, right? You saw Ronnie Rivers last week, 12 touches. Darrell Henderson saw over 5. Malcolm Brown saw over 5. It's a three-way committee on an offense that just kind of looks lost and unsure of itself. The scoring opportunities have not been there. That's always been the appeal with the Rams, right? You get a bunch of red zone opportunities and a chance to get fluky touchdowns. Well, those don't seem like they're coming, and even if it does, can you guess which of these three guys is going to get that red zone carry that has a chance to convert? The answer is probably no, right? I don't think we saw enough from Ronnie Rivers to say, he's the guy, let's start him. And even on top of all of that, right, you have Cam Akers in the news there saying, well, Akers might come back, and they're trying to figure it out. It's just, all of these running backs suck. They're all bad. We're just evolving here. They're worse and worse and worse every single week. They try to find an answer, and guess what? It's none of the three. So don't put them into your lineup. Don't even deal with the headache that is the Rams backfield right now. All right, guys, that is all we have for you. Again, if you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel. If you have questions, comments, drop that stuff down below as well. All right, as always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.